Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I have a couple more 3D Blu-ray reviews using the PSVR system. Now there's no theme with this video, I just grabbed a couple that I was interested in watching. The first one I'm doing is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides here in 3D. This was very interesting because I wasn't too enthusiastic. I mean, I was really excited to see this in 3D because I remember the trailers, back in the day in 3D. But after watching Tron Legacy, where personally I just didn't feel like there was much going on. And again, that was my first one, so my eyes had not really adjusted to the format yet. But it's safe to say this is definitely on one of my more favorite sides when it comes to 3D. There's a lot of subtle things, when the smoke is rising or there's like water splashing or fire kind of blazing, like that's really when it's like, whoa, like there's some added depth here, which is really cool. And there's a lot of that throughout, peppered throughout the film. It's not like some films where you get like one effect at the beginning or and this film really benefits from the water aspect because so much of it is, obviously they're on a ship. There's some underwater stuff with the mermaids, the whole thing of them finding the fountain of youth. Like, water, again and again, it proves to me is the best when it comes to 3D. I do have some problems with I do think the movie's a little too long, just a little bit. And when you're wearing that headset, it does become a bit straining. 2 hours max, I think, with these. There are some moments though, and this isn't necessarily a criticism of the film's 3D, but I think more so with, the glasses. Kind of like when you watch streaming and how the blacks are kind of crushed. It's kind of like that, but the equivalent with this. There's one shot in particular where the mermaids are kind of getting this guy and blood's coming out, but it's just it's really dark. It's almost too dark. And I wonder if it would be better on like a 3D TV with glasses or, in a theater with 3D glasses versus this. There just be some weakness because it seems like there's some, I don't know what to call it. It's almost like grain, not on the film, but in the system itself. And I think that kind of contributes to that. Overall, when it comes to 3D movies to watch, I definitely recommend this one. I think this is a good time. It's not the best Pirates, but it's not the worst. And if you want to, dabble into 3D, I think the one scene specifically towards the beginning where Jack is kind of escaping the town, I think would be a good reference watch. So I decided to try something, different. The Little Mermaid on 3D Blu-ray. This one, with 2D animation, I wasn't really expecting anything good or crazy for 3D. And while it's not the best transfer, but if I was gonna recommend you a 3D movie to watch, I wouldn't start with The Little Mermaid. But for a 2D animated film, I think this is way better than it has any right to be. I was very impressed. And I mean, to be fair, because I wasn't expecting much. So, when expectations are low, anything's decent, right? Makes it all good. There were some moments where I felt like, wow, there's like some really added depth here, and it was really weird to see. I don't know how to explain it. I definitely this is more on the recommended side, just to see like what does 2D, animated films in 3D look like. There's definitely some highlights in the film, but there's also some weak moments, right? Things far out into the distance, doesn't really have that pop-up effect, but there are definitely moments where I can see where it feels like there's some depth between the characters. And that was really cool. So I watched Monster House in 3D. And I think watching this really helped me figure out how I feel about watching 3D Blu-rays. and especially with the headset and everything, that's so heavy and has quite a few cons that you have to really have the right movie for it. And for Monster House by itself, I think is a cute little film. I remember growing up with it. I like it, right? And that's always a great baseline because the 3D effect, sometimes is good and sometimes bad in movies, right? But when you have something that's more or less horror or kind of the Halloween vibe, right? Something for the spooky season, the 3D elevates all of those, scares and thrills, so to speak. And it's very hard to find a film where I feel like the 3D enhances the film. And in this case, I think it really does. Overall, I really recommend this one, especially if you like the movie already. I think the 3D does add a whole new layer to the film. So this is definitely towards the top of my recommendation for 3D Blu-rays. And the last one for this video is I watched Jurassic Park in 3D. I don't want to say that it's the best Spielberg, post 3D transfer. I think Jaws is still better, but this was actually surprisingly not bad. And kind of similar to Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, that kind of tropical setting is really cool. Overall, I would say put this in the middle of like recommending 3D transfers. It's a great movie already, so just having that extra little bit is pretty good. Mike got a whole bunch more, so it's like there's a whole, I already had it kind of listed like the 3D movies I have to watch, but he just added some more. So there's gonna be these, every once in a while, as soon as I can get time to do a batch of 4 to 5 3D movies. I don't think I'm gonna theme them really anymore, just because then it feels like homework versus like, oh, well, I want to see what this looks like in 3D. So just my own curiosity kind of curates each video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.